Hello. You can wake up now. It's okay. Welcome to Speech Night. Clap, please. We really appreciate you all coming out. Hopefully we're going to have an intellectually stimulating as well as a humorous evening and give you a good time here. We'll be out probably around 8:30, 8:45 and give you time to do whatever it is you do in the night, creatures of the night that you are. So here's what's going to happen. After the event, there will be sign-up sheets with your instructor and class section taped to the glass. You'll be able to sign there. That's the way this is going to work, okay? But I do want to thank you all for supporting our team. We appreciate it very, very much. Before we get into the events, there are a couple people we need to thank, without whose presence and assistance we would not be operating. Let's start at the top of the food chain with Dr. Frank Chong. A round of applause for Dr. Chong. He's a fervent supporter of forensics, and he's a rock star in his own right. We also, a round of applause for Mary Kay Rudolph. She's your vice president. If you do something bad, you may have to see her. But on a good day, she's a delightful person. Also, Chris Abramson, our area dean. And Mark Anderman. Clap for Mark. And while we're talking about Marks, let's have Mark Nelson stand, our Communication Studies Department Chair. Rise. Mark also coaches with me and Susan Houlihan. Stand. I've learned a lot from them. We also have a couple of special people in the audience tonight, people without whose assistance this team would not have the competitive success that it does. I'd like Kevin Steeper and Joey Kimple to please stand. Thank you. Just to give you a quick sampling of how well they've done this year, this is the second consecutive year they won the California State Championship in parliamentary debate. That's pretty cool. It is the fourth consecutive year they've won a gold medal sweeps in their division at nationals. It is the third out of fourth year that they've finished second overall in the nation in overall sweepstakes. Additionally, this is the sixth team we've qualified for the National Parliamentary Tournament of Excellence in the last 5 years, which is the equivalent of March Madness. Very rare for a community college to be able to do that. They've done an outstanding job there. Long story short, they work really, really hard. They have a lot of fun, and any of the baldness on top of my head or grayness at the sides is not attributable to them. They're absolutely delightful. So a round of applause for your folks up here. Two quick things I want to mention tonight. The debate you're going to see this evening is going to have 6 participants, and we have changed what is actually done in competition a little bit to make it a little bit more audience friendly. We've also provided a mixture of both first semester students as well as some veterans. And so you're going to be able to see a little bit of variety, and that way hopefully you'll have some fun. And the topic, I assure you, selected by the students and the debate worked on by the students should probably be of at least tangential interest to some of you. Before I sit down and introduce to you to your MCs, the other thing I want to mention is tonight's performance does sometimes deal with some adult issues, in particular dating and the hookup culture. That may mean something to some of you. I don't fully know what I just said, but they told me to say that. 37 years. Yeah. That's just a round of applause, right? Thank you. Before I introduce your MCs, I do want to make a special presentation to Henry Tolchard. For the 3rd year in a row, Santa Rosa Junior College has the top NFALD debater, which is basically mono on mono or womano on womano or whatever is going on there, as well as the top parliamentary debater in the Northern California district. We've had 3 consecutive ones. I'd like to bring Henry Tolchard up here right now. Give him a round of applause. Here are the 2 certificates that were presented by the NCFA to him over this weekend, and there you go. I could not resist, but I am going to do something for 15 seconds that gives you a little bit of an idea of what happens at the top level in open division parliamentary debate. We're not going to be having a lot of speed for you tonight because we want it to be comprehensible and enjoyable. But one of the strategies in competitive debate is to be able to speak as quickly as possible so that you can get in as many quality arguments as possible within the allotted time. You're not going to be hearing super fast during tonight's debate, but I couldn't resist asking Henry to give you about 10 seconds worth of what is partially speeded up for an open level debate. Henry, talk to them.
All right. Hopefully some of you will be able to recognize this speech. 77 years ago, our fathers brought forth this continent, a new nation conceived in liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. Now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation and any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. We made a great battlefield of that war. We have come to dedicate a portion of that field of house of promise.
Okay, stop. We're good. All right. So, you can see why I don't argue with these people. Too old for that. I'd now like to introduce you, your MCs, but before they get up here, let me just say a quick little word about them. Jimmy Henry is a first-year debater. Jimmy Henry is also a national gold and state gold medalist. He's like hella good. McKenna is also a rock star in her own right. She's actually tournament champion 3 times this semester alone. She is amazing and smart like a whip. Yeah. Have fun, kids.
Oh my God, why did you give him that?
Because
why would he not give me this?
Have fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We've got you for the next 4 hours, and there's nothing you can do about it because we already have your money. So let's get started.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting how many people at this college need the extra credit for Speech 1A and show up to this thing for $5 and 2 hours on a Thursday night.
Super encouraging.
Really encouraging, guys. Great job. So first out tonight, we have Jewel Jackson giving you an after-dinner speech. What is an after-dinner speech, McKenna?
An after-dinner speech is also considered a speech to entertain. It includes, it's about significant contemporary topics with humor, and it often focuses on change. Jewel, who will be giving this speech, is an award-winning competitor at multiple tournaments throughout the season. Her awards include tournament championships. So she also wants to let you know it's okay to laugh during the speech. Please do.
Please laugh, otherwise
it's
it's
going
going
to
to be an awkward 7 minutes for all of us.
And also, at this time, we'd ask that everybody make sure your phones are turned off or on silent mode, airplane mode, and we can get started.
Please welcome Jewel Jackson, ladies and gentlemen.
Is it on? Is this on? Can you guys hear me? Is this just my normal voice?
No.
I'm on. I talk pretty loud anyway, so it's not like a huge deal. Okay, so to kick this off, I'm just going to go with the funniest part of this whole speech, actually, is me setting it up. I actually have a comprehensive tutorial in store for all of you guys that I go through every time, so I hope you're all prepared. So I just really wanted to introduce you guys to some stuff. For instance, so this is my stand that I'm setting up. I have to cart this around during tournament. It's really easy to handle. I'm really, Hal found it for me actually, so that's really great. This is part of it. Okay? You guys can talk and stuff. I'm joking about the tutorial. There isn't a tutorial. This is really, guys. For the next 30 seconds to a minute, I'm gonna be doing that. Can you? I mean, it's your funeral. Whatever. That's the stand. All set up. Woo! You guys really have no lives. I know, right? Me too. Whoever said that's why I'm here. But you know what? You should be grateful you're even here. You get extra credit for this. This is part of my requirements to be in this class. Oh, it's in front of it. All right, guys, it's me. Clap, clap, clap for me. Who is that? Is that your mom? Wait, your mom's white? Wait, are you white? Why is she white? Oh my God, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white. This is me. I'm super cute, I know. Take a good look, everybody. This is my baby pictures. I have a couple of albums to show after this is all done. I'm sure you're gonna be all very grateful for that. This is the orphanage I was in. Basically the orphanage from Annie minus the singing and dancing, which I can happily provide for all of you, if you so desire. Which of course you would, because you wouldn't, right? And this is my mother. Yes, this is my mother. My adoptive mother. I didn't adopt her. She adopted me from Vietnam. She'd actually be here tonight, but she said she had salsa dancing classes instead. Yep, that's my mom. She adopted me. She paid money for this. Adoption, whew, pretty funny. You know what's even funnier though? Orphans! Orphans, a real knee slapper. Am I right or am I right? I'm right. Did you guys know, okay, get this. Did you know that according to SOS Children's Villages, there are over 140 million orphans worldwide? Orphans! Can you believe it? What a who! Like, we're just sitting here like, oh my God, can I just get my extra credit already? And they're like literal orphans in like orphanages. Isn't that insane? Too crazy. Jesus. Oh my God. I can't believe you guys are laughing at this. That's sick. We need to do something. Today, we're going to talk about orphans and adoption, specifically international adoption, because I was internationally adopted and I know you all want a jewel of your own. So we're going to travel to some mystical, far-off countries that are way worse off than us. Though with the recent inauguration, third world countries are looking better and better every passing day. Our first port of call will be the deplorable state of orphanages. Our second stop will be the dismal lack of affection orphans receive, and at our third and final destination, we will call for the adoption of some solutions. God, I'm so funny. Okay, so being an orphan kind of sucks. Like really, really kind of positively sucks. Just suck the tube everywhere. This is some real Oliver Twist stuff we've got up here. There are two major reasons why being an orphan sucks so much. For one, orphanages don't have the best track record conditions-wise. Firstly, staffing is usually less than stellar. Eric Malonga, lawyer and founder of Marixel Children's Home, says that orphanages in the Philippines, that's in Asia, by the way, are scarce and poorly staffed. And for these reasons, simple procedures can drag on for months, which can impede some wonderful family from adopting little Howler Mark. Though, who'd want to adopt Mark, am I right? Right? Yeah, no, just kidding. You're my third favorite cripple. Okay. Thank you. I thought it was funny too. Yeah? It's ineptitude on the part of many, many social workers, Malonga said to the LA Times. Incompetence and ineptitude. That's also what my mom says to me when I bring home a bad grade. But it's not just orphanages in the Philippines that are suffering staffing problems. In Port-au-Prince, a US-funded Haitian orphanage also suffered staffing problems. And according to US News in 2014, there are multiple instances where a single staffer had to juggle 12 babies over a 24-hour shift. She got so good at juggling, she quit and joined the circus. More staffing problems. And it's not just staffing that's an issue. There are other problems with orphanages. For instance, food. This is going to sound horrible, and I'll totally understand if you need to leave the room to take this in, though your instructors might dock your extra credit, which is totally fine by me because I am a treasure, and you should all be grateful you're even listening to me. Orphans often eat the same thing every meal, oatmeal or mush. They don't get the luxury of choosing between In-N-Out or Taco Bell. God, now I'm hungry. So are the orphans. That same Haitian orphanage often served only plain white rice or sauceless spaghetti, and in many instances, inadequate serving sizes. But really, they should be grateful they get to eat it all, right? They should just make like the Lost Kids and Hook and imagine their food. Like, can we please get some creativity up here? Plain white rice, California rolls, minus the seaweed, the cucumber, the imitation crab, and the avocado. Oh, I know. They don't get avocados, which I'm sure is probably the tipping point of sympathy for most of us Californians. And then there are the sleeping conditions. Oh my God, I don't know about you guys, but I can barely survive on 8 hours of sleep. Like, remember when it was cool to stay up super duper late and then moan and groan about our sleep deprivation the day after? Ugh, I'm so tired. Ugh, I need Starbucks. You know who else is tired? That's right, the orphans. Back to the picture of the orphanage I was in as a baby. Do you see the hard mats and floors and the distinct lack of a Simmons Beer Recipe Charge 2 out of plush mattress? Trademarked? Sleeping conditions in orphanages are just straight out bad across the board, which orphans sleep on. Spoiler alert, orphanages don't serve Starbucks. The second major issue with orphans, that orphans have, is a lack of affection. Orphans don't have mama to cook them ratatouille when they trip and fall and hurt their little knees. They don't have someone to ask them about their homework and school and their friends and their work and their weight and their future. Sorry, am I projecting? The point is that orphans don't receive affection because they don't have parents. So they're lonely and sad. Have any of you heard of the Renee Spitz study? Shut up, nerd. No, you haven't. Okay. So, some guy took two groups of babies to compare. This is kind of unethical. Don't do this at home. One group of babies was raised in an orphanage, in isolated cribs and sterile conditions with one nurse to 7 babies. And the other group of babies was raised in prison with their incarcerated mothers. Amazingly enough, the study found that 37% of the orphan babies died, whereas 0% of the prison babies died. So the solution is clear, right? Put all the orphans into prison. Kidding. God, you guys are messed up. Okay, so orphan deaths suck. I mean, all deaths suck, but like especially orphan deaths. Orphanages suck, and being an orphan sucks. What can we do? I'm sure that as college students and probably millennials, we are all in our prime to become parents. I'm sure by now we're all getting steadily closer and closer to a debt-free life, a bachelor's degree, owning our own houses, and nabbing ourselves some high-paying jobs with great benefits. Psych, yeah. It's okay. I'm right there with you. It's okay, though. The United States requires you to be at least 25 years old to adopt internationally anyways. So here are some things we can do to help these orphans get adopted. 1, we need to petition other countries to allow for LGBT adoption. As of November 2016, there have been national debates pushing for LGBT parenthood in Australia, Chile, Germany, Hungary, and Italy. 2, we need to work to destigmatize single men and their ability to father a kid. Many countries will allow single women to adopt, but will scrutinize single men. And 3, if we can, we need to adopt the orphans. Like all of them. You get an orphan, you get an orphan, you get an orphan, we all get an orphan. One baby adopted means one baby guaranteed, hopefully. Love, family, basic human necessities, but who cares about their benefits? Like, what about us? Here's what we got out of it. Ladies, let's talk. Giving birth hurts more than watching Sean Spicer give a press conference. Yeah, and that's saying something. But with adoption, some other poor schmuck has to suffer through pregnancy and birth. Partners of these ladies, let's talk. You're not going to have to run to Safeway at 3 a.m. to grab pickles, chocolate syrup, and whatever other disgusting combination of food you want to satisfy your cravings. Infertile women and queer couples, let's talk. Couldn't have a kid, now you can have a kid. And additionally, your child is going to feel superior to other non-adopted children. Take me, for instance. This baby, no cry, never cry.
That's how the nice ladies at the orphanage talked up my chubby little baby bod to my mother. Yep, still chubby. That was my selling point, along with the fact that I was incredibly great at sleeping. Yeah, it wasn't like that, baby, I'll tell you that. Don't believe me? I'm serious. I was incredibly great at sleeping. So great. I bet I could beat you all at sleeping. That's how good I was, and am. So that was my baby story. What's yours? The condom broke? And let's not forget the accessorizing potential, like Gucci purse, Prada shoes, Burberry coat, Malawan baby boy. Too cute. You'll get compliments for years until they're gross little preteens. And until then, you can just pretend you're the less famous and less wealthy version of Angelina Jolie. So, today, we talked about the terrible conditions of orphanages, the dismal lack of affection orphans receive, and we proposed the adoption of some solutions. Wow, you guys are so easy to please. That was the second time I used that joke, did you know? So I hope by now everybody in this room will at least consider adoption. You might get lucky and get someone as amazing and talented and intelligent and beautiful, someone like me. And now for my second act, the slideshow. Somebody get the projector, the slideshow?
No, we're good.
My baby pictures.
We're good.
Nobody did that.
She'll be back, don't worry. So, Hal, can you take Kevin out of the room, please?
Yeah. Leave.
Now we have to wait for Hal to do that.
Wait, where's Kevin?
I have no idea.
Well, he's already there. He's head of...
All right, Kevin beat us to it. So,
All right.
next up for you, ladies and gentlemen, is an impromptu speech. What's an impromptu speech, Kevin?
Why you gotta ask me every time?
Because I don't know.
All right, an impromptu speech requires a lightning-fast application of a speaker's own personal knowledge to a quotation about the topic area. So, in competition, the speaker usually has 7 minutes. About 2 minutes to 1 minute is used for prep, and then the next 5 minutes are used for their speech. We've sent Hal out with Kevin. Hopefully, they're outside the building.
So,
and, yeah,
an impromptu speech is basically like every presentation in school you've ever gave. You didn't practice, and then the teacher called your name on the first day, and you went, oh dear God, now I have to improvise. So,
Pretty
this
much.
side of the room, I need a movie. Shout out movies for me, please. Not you, them. Not you. What? Magic Mike, thank you.
All right.
Unfortunately, we have no strippers for you tonight.
I mean, you could. You could.
Okay. So, center part of the room, I need a song. No one knows what that is.
I'm sorry, what?
That's what I like.
That's what I like.
My Bruno Mars.
Oh, okay. I guess, yep.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay, you got it down?
Yep.
Now, this side of the room. I need a book. Unfortunately for you, that's all we got left. Harry Potter.
So basic. What?
All right, that seems academic for a college. So,
For college. I mean,
I read that in high school. Who else read that in high school? Give me a show of hands. What, did the rest of you not go to high school? All right, we're giving that to Kevin. So,
oh wait, I have to do the timing.
this is the point where the elevator music usually plays. Unfortunately, we don't have enough of a budget to get any elevator music for you. You want me to sing, Susan?
Oh, there he is.
Oh, dear Lord.
All right. Oh my God.
Oh, so this is Kevin. He's the only one in 2017 who still wears a cowboy hat, as evidenced by the cowboy hat.
Yeah. Oh, we didn't introduce him.
All jokes aside, Kevin is a national medalist. He's also a gold medalist at States with me. Well, to be honest, Kevin won a gold medal, and I was there. Kevin, are you ready? Yes. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you'll hear from him in about 1 or 2 minutes. Kevin McDermott Swanson, ladies and gentlemen. Clap. I didn't give you guys permission to talk.
Sit down. Stop it.
She didn't give you permission to stand.
That's fair.
Milo Yiannopoulos. He had a speech that was supposed to go off in Berkeley about a month and a half ago now, and it was canceled due to violent anti-fascist protests. It's probably the best news that I heard that day, and I actually did really well at a tournament that day too. But when I think about Huckleberry Finn, I can't help but think about freedom of expression. Sorry. Good now? Mic on? Yeah, sorry. I can't help but think about freedom of expression because Huckleberry Finn has throughout its history been banned in multiple public schools because of its use of a word that I'm not allowed to say, but it starts with an N and has 5 letters and is incredibly derogatory and racist. It uses the word 196 times in it, and it's been banned from multiple school libraries, multiple public libraries because of its use of this offensive word. And this kind of censorship of expression is the kind of thing that we have to think about when we think about freedom of expression. I'd like to explore this through 3 main points of analysis. The first is shouting the word fire in a crowded theater, which if I do, it doesn't mean that the room's on fire. I'm just doing it for effect today. The second is how we talk about deleting comments on Facebook. And the third is the First Amendment itself and what it's supposed to mean. So first, we're going to talk about shouting fire in a crowded theater. This is a thing that you're not allowed to do. It's actually illegal to do it. And this is under the public safety. Now there's some other things that go under here, things like hate speech, specific speech that is designed to inspire violent actions. The kind of things that Donald Trump did during his political rallies before he got elected and didn't get punished for because he's rich. Anyways. So these kinds of things are things that that the Supreme Court has ruled over time are allowed to be infringed upon because it's for the greater good. It's for the greater safety of people that you can't cause that kind of panic or you can't get people to commit violent acts and not be held accountable for those things. So while the government isn't supposed to infringe on your speech, saying you're not allowed to use speech that will directly inspire actions that harms people is seen as something slightly different. The next thing we're going to talk about is deleting people's comments on Facebook. Now, I have a friend who insists on never deleting anything anybody says on Facebook. Any comment that goes on one of their posts, they leave up. And I happen to disagree with that stance. But this friend of mine thinks that it's incredibly important that we not silence other people's advocacies. And one of the arguments that gets brought up a lot of the time when I point out that I think a comment should be deleted and they say that it shouldn't is freedom of expression. Now, freedom of expression, the First Amendment, is about the government, not about us. Your freedom of expression doesn't mean I have to listen to your crap. It doesn't. I don't have to listen to what you have to say, and if you say it on my Facebook page, on my Facebook post, I sure as hell don't have to leave it there. That's my right. My Facebook page is my publication. My Facebook thread is my publication. And me cutting that out is not silencing your free speech, because if you want, you can put a public Facebook post. All I'm doing is saying, I don't want to hear that kind of language on my Facebook post. I don't want to see that kind of argument. And that's not really an infringement. So this brings us finally kind of down to the First Amendment and what it means. The First Amendment is designed to protect us from the government silencing our right to speak, and it's for a relatively specific reason. The reason why the government is supposed to infringe on our right to express ourselves is so that if we decide the government is crazy corrupt, spoilers, it is, and wants to overthrow it, we can talk about that freely and organize freely. So when we see things like government-supported fascists like Milo Yiannopoulos wanting to spread their hateful rhetoric at Berkeley, and we decide that those people can't be allowed to talk, and we decide to silence them, that's not the same thing as infringing on their right to free speech. That is us telling them that we don't want to hear what they have to say. And our free speech is to say that their speech is actively hurtful and commits an act of violence against who we are and who we see ourselves as people. That's what the First Amendment was designed to do. It was designed to give us the right to say that, not designed to give us the right to say, I hate you because you're different. So that's what I think about when I think about Huckleberry Finn. And when I hear about people saying we shouldn't read Huckleberry Finn because it has offensive words in it, I think, well, maybe they're right. Maybe those words are offensive. Maybe Huckleberry Finn doesn't belong. Now, if we look at the reason why it was written, it probably does, because it was written to call attention to that specific thing. And though those words are used, the deeper meaning of it isn't designed to otherize people of darker skin tones because they're different. It's designed to point out how similar they are. And if you really read it and you examine the content, you can see that that's the message that Mark Twain was going for when he wrote the book. So while it's all well and good to not read it because you find the words offensive, if you look at the meaning of the words, you might find it worth reading. Thank you.
Keep in mind, that speech was given by a man who wears a cowboy hat.
Get this out of here.
So, moving on. Right now, we're going to tell you about extemporaneous speaking. You'll be hearing about that in 2 events, but we need to figure out what the topic will be for that speech right now. McKenna, what is extemporaneous speaking?
Again, okay. The event requires a broad knowledge of national and international issues, so it also includes the speaker is given 3 topic choices and then is given 30 minutes to research and formulate their thesis. So we're going to allow you to, again, be a part of the decision making about what those 3 topics are going to be. Go ahead.
I'll start with you guys. I'm going to read both of them to you, and then you're going to tell me the number you want, either 1 and 2. So, number 1, should Major League Baseball take stronger action against racist language at their ballparks? And number 2, can Ivanka Trump successfully serve as a moderating influence for the president? What do you guys want?
2.
Number 2.
Sweet.
Come on, this is America. Don't you like baseball? I bet. Oh, no. All right, Hal, I need her to debate me right now. Let's just throw it out. Okay. Senator Call. Should California implement single-payer health care? Or does Congress' unwillingness to fund drug enforcement for medical marijuana signal a coming change in national drug policy?
Oh, God.
You guys really don't want to hear about weed? We're going to talk to him about weed.
All right.
All right, guys. Dad, I'm going to let you pick. Raise your hand, Dad.
What?
Will Congress find their way to a compromise to repeal Obamacare? Or is the arrest of Desiree Feruz for laughing at Attorney General Jeff Sessions an absurd outlier or a sign of things to come?
2. 1 happens today. 2.
I don't know, Kevin. I do like my dad. We're going 2.
All right. All right, Henry.
So Henry now has half an hour to prep out a speech. You'll hear that in half an hour. Guess that makes sense?
I mean, it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Now we have probably what some of you in Mark Nelson's class are here for, at least. We have the debate.
Those poor kids.
Poor children. So, tonight's debate, tonight's topic is Netflix and chill does more harm than good.
It's just tell them who's debating.
All right, so debating tonight for your viewing pleasure, we have on the affirmative team saying that yes, it is harmful. We have Fletcher Wingfield. Fletcher, come down here, please. Don't clap, I'm not done yet. Fletcher Wingfield is a national medalist, he is a state medalist, and he also is the founder of his own religion called Piratology. If you would like to hear about this, you can go to FletcherWingfield.com or piratologyisgreat.org.
Those aren't real things.
Please don't, he will go on talking and you will never leave. So, next for the affirmative team, we have Andrew Biden. Come on down, Andrew. Andrew is a first semester debater, which means he's only been doing this for a semester. Last semester, he was out there with you. So, however, Andrew has won multiple tournaments. He has also won multiple awards at these tournaments. He's very successful. When asked to describe himself in one word, Andrew looked at me and he said, Jimmy, I want you to tell them that I'm cinnamon.
No, that's not what he said.
Is that not what he said?
You
Remind me what he said.
asked him what type of oatmeal he was, and you said cinnamon oatmeal, and he
Oh.
said, what did you say? You said, I don't like cinnamon.
See, I can't even remember what I say.
Yeah, you don't, just, dear God.
All right, last but not least, we have Kelsey McCaffrey. Please come down, Kelsey.
Oh!
Kelsey is also a first semester debater. She's won multiple tournaments. She's even won a silver medal at the state competition. That's very impressive for a first semester debater. Please give her a round of applause for the barista who works at Pete's.
And for the affirmative team.
Now introducing the team who will lose tonight's debate.
The team who's going to win tonight. All right, first up we have Morgan Connors. Once again, last semester, there we go. She was sitting in the crowd, and this semester, we won a tournament together.
Humble brag.
Always. And our next debater is a medalist at states, as well as the junior division University of Pacific champion, the pan with the plan, my girl Amber Nicholson. Oh, and like, it's Kevin again.
Oh. Did I hear Kevin? Remember cowboy hat Kevin? This guy? Kevin's amazing. Please give a round of applause for Kevin.
All right, so anything else? No, you're all good. Cool. Have fun.
Take it away, boys.
Sit down.
And girls. And others.
Test. Okay, cool. All right. Let me just get it set up real quick. All right, everybody ready? Affirmative side, negative side. All right, let's begin. First of all, I'd like to welcome everyone to Speech Night tonight. Today we'll be discussing the topic, has Netflix and chill done more harm than good? My side, the affirmative side, will be agreeing with this resolution saying Netflix and chill has done more harm than good. Now, Netflix and chill means exactly what you think it does. And if you don't know, just ask the young adult around you. So, under all presumption in this debate, we will be concluding that Netflix and chill will be under safe and consensual sex in this term. So, everybody knows what Netflix and chill means, right? But it wasn't always this way. Netflix and chill was invented as a way to ask someone upfront, say, hey, do you want to have sex with me? Now, fast forward now to where everybody knows what Netflix and chill means. So you have an entire world that now knows what this coded phrase means, and we've had to start saying it in different ways. All jokes aside, Netflix and chill has been, in this debate, is a euphemism for contemporary dating culture and how much sex has been casualized with it. And today we will be saying contemporary dating culture and the casualization of sex has done more harm than good. My first major argument is Netflix and chill leads to emotional detachment. Casualization of dating reduces communication and discussion. So you come over for the night to watch probably the first 15 minutes of whatever Netflix show you watch, and then you spend the rest of the night having sex with each other. Now, this decrease in communication and discussion leads to emotional detachment because you have two humans not humanize one another. When someone is just over at your house to have sex, that is their value to you. So what happens once they lose that value to you, or you get bored with them? Ghosting. Now, ghosting is the practice of ending a relationship with someone without any explanation and cutting off all communication. When you have an increase in casual dating because individuals do not humanize one another, individuals learn not to treat one another with respect. So now we have a bunch of individuals who have no idea how to treat and not to learn about one another in relationships, who aren't investing because of ghosting. Now, relationships that aren't being invested in, pretty much, why would you invest in a relationship with someone where everyone's ghosting each other left and right? Because you can do so behind your mobile phones. Now, when someone is being ghosted, they're being abandoned. You send a text saying, hey, you want to come over? Hey, you want to come on Netflix and chill? And you get no response. And then you wait a few hours later and there's still no response. So you send a second text, even though you know you shouldn't. And a few more hours go by. And then days go by. And then weeks go by. And you don't hear anything from this person. And you start to ask yourself, is it me? Is that all that they wanted from me? So this group of individuals, millennials, needed to create a phrase, Netflix and chill, as a curtain to hide behind, rather than just saying, hey, do you want to have sex with me? Like someone who has to say Netflix and chill has any communication skills at all when trying to connect with someone or even be developing a long-lasting relationship. Now, my second major argument is casual sexpectations. Casual dating leads to the normalization of the idea that even just hanging out can lead to sex, whether all participants intend this or not. Now just coming over to have dinner, for example, can be a sexualized event. Netflix and chill has sexualized normal events in the sense where both parties could be expecting different expectations. Netflix and chill has literally caused the subtext in questions like, hey, you want to hang out? And suddenly it is a sexually charged question of, do they really just want to hang out with me? Everyone's received that text and been put in the situation of, does this person want more than me? This normalization creates the pressure to have sex in casual situations where it did not exist before Netflix and chill. This leads to hurt feelings on both sides, where one party feels like, hey, you want to hang out? Meant the same thing as Netflix and chill, where the other party has no idea or no expectation of that. Not to mention how the objectification of a person increases because their only value and worth as a person is based on your body, and when you turn the other person down, you are losing that value and the only connection you have to them. So in summary, Netflix and chill has done more harm than good because of the emotional detachment between two people. Look, millennials, Netflix and chill is the curtain to hide behind the question, do you want to have sex? And as long as it is here, we will see an increase in worthless relationships, not being invested in because your value is your body. Along with this comes sex expectations in normal environment, and God, aren't you tired of hearing the text, hey, you want to hang out, and wondering if it means something more? So in turn, worthless relationships with a decrease in investing, objectification on both sides, and increase of both parties because your worth and ghosting behind each other of screens casualizes and has these normal sexualized events.
Don't run away. All right, I have a couple questions for you before I begin. One, how do millennials these days go from, hey, what's your name, to let's have sex?
So in turn, that's our entire argument. When you look at individuals and Netflix and chill, it is literally the casualization of, hey, we're skipping the in-between part where I get to know you and just jumping to the end where we have sex. So in turn, that's kind of our argument of, yeah, we skip the middle part of getting to know each other and actually investing and humanizing one another.
Okay, question number 2. In terms of ghosting, if I'm not emotionally invested in Casper, why does it hurt when he disappears?
So if you're not emotionally invested in Casper, so let's say you are really just there to have sex, you're just there to Netflix and chill and move on with it. Your value to that person is still your body. So even if they ghost you and they stop responding to you, you're still gonna ask yourself the question of, is it me? Like I said earlier, even if you don't want to emotionally invest, you're still going to think deep down, is it me? Am I not good at sex? What is it? So even if you're not emotionally invested, I'd say that it's still the worth of your body being put on value in this relationship.
All right, thank you guys for coming to Speech and Debate Night. Before I begin, I'll just set this up for you. I'm going to be doing the opposing side's argument. I will not be actually addressing her argument yet. My teammates will be doing that, so I'll just be setting this up. So about 5 minutes. Are you guys ready? Cool. Okay, so the opposing team will be setting up 2 main arguments. The first main argument is sex positivity. And in other words, people enjoy having sex, and it's good for them too. All right, so in today's society, women are not in control of their sexuality. Let's take it back a little bit. Before, we used to put chastity belts on women. So we don't do this anymore, hopefully, but it's still a symbol of essentially a woman's worth. A woman's worth is basically how much sex are they having or how little sex are they having. We're literally labeling a woman's human value based upon the value or how much sex they are not having. So with this, Netflix and chill actually sets up a realm in which women are now in control of their sexuality. Now we have an environment in which women can choose whether or not they want to have sex and how much of it they want to have without any of that social backlash of slut shaming and other such things that are incredibly emotionally detrimental. Now, let's look at what Netflix and chill does for both parties. We are given an environment in which we can have much more sex. Why is this good? Because there are so many benefits of sex. Oh my God, my dad is laughing so hard right now. So we have a lot of physical and emotional benefits of sex. Let's look at a carefully study with a 10-year follow-up in which they studied people that were having sex at least twice a week, if not more. And then what they found was that sex actually proved to increase the longevity of life. It decreased heart attack, stroke, and type 2 diabetes. But what's most important about sex is when you have sex, it releases oxytocin, colloquially known as the cuddling drug. Why? Because oxytocin makes you happy. It makes you want to cuddle with each other. It makes you want to bond. Oxytocin is the pair bonding drug. It's great. So basically, what are we saying? We're saying sex is good, we like it, and we should have much more of it. I'm so sorry, Dad. So Netflix and chill is good. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our second argument. Netflix and chill reduces the patriarchal bias inherent in traditional dating culture. In other words, it removes the pressures and sex expectations that are typically present in heteronormative dating culture. What does this mean? All right, so in the heteronormative dating culture, we're talking about a man and a woman dating. So let's set it up for you. We have a man and we have a woman. They're going on a date, whether it's coffee, dinner, whatever. So a man buys the coffee or the dinner, so we'll call that the resources. And in return, a woman has sex expectations. What this is the expectation to provide sexual favors of any kind in exchange for these resources, aka dinner. So, but women, if we have sex too soon, we're considered a slut. But if we wait way too long to have sex, then we're considered a prude. So in this environment, women just can't win. And we see a lot of the slut shaming if we do have sex too soon. And slut shaming, as I said before, is emotionally detrimental. So, how does Netflix and chill change this? So, in this heteronormative dating culture, let's also add the fact that it makes it much harder for a woman to say no to these sex expectations once dinner or coffee or whatever is bought. So, Netflix and chill is an environment in which men and women are equals. Why? Because men and women have this environment where the expectations are laid out. We know what it is. We're basically gonna go to someone's house, watch all or part of a movie, and then we're gonna have sex. So both parties know what it is. So this is a realm in which men are no longer providing resources and there is not an exchange of sex expectations. It's simply a man and a woman enjoying sex together, just enjoying each other's company. So with this, we're reducing these pressures that is typically found in dating of, oh my God, do I take her on a date? How much money do I spend on this date? Oh my gosh, he just bought me dinner. What do? I think I should have sex with him. So it completely reduces this. We see that both parties know what the expectations are. There's a clear outline and it's good for everyone. So Netflix and chill, in conclusion, it relieves pressure of expectations and greatly reduces gender stereotypes from the dating equation.
Is it working now? Can you guys hear me? Okay. All right, before my partner gets up to speak, Morgan, I'd like to ask you a few questions. So are there any other effects to oxytocin other than what you mentioned in your speech?
Yes. So oxytocin also is greatly relaxing. It reduces anxiety. It makes you somewhat sleepy almost.
Perfect. And then for question 2, was there any phrase that existed prior to Netflix and chill?
Yes. So some of our older generations might be familiar with the term, would you like to come up for a nightcap, or would you like to come up for some coffee?
All right, that is it.
All right.
All right, you guys all hear me very well? Let's make sure. All right. I'd like to start off by pointing out that my job right now is not to bolster the affirmative side, but rather to negate the negatives arguments. So I will only be refuting the things that Morgan just spoke about. So to start, I'm going to talk about why the negatives arguments have flaws in them. So I'll begin with sex positivity, and then I'll move over to the patriarchal bias. So the negative side would like you to believe that Netflix and chill is synonymous with sex, that the two are one and the same. But this is false. What we're talking about tonight is a very specific type of contemporary dating culture and the effects that come from that. To start with sex positivity. So the negative claims that Netflix and chill increases the ease of sex and the amounts of people that have sex. They also claim that there are several health benefits that come from this, such as physical and mental and emotional well-being, as well as talking about the increase in social aspects to it. So we, as the affirmative, will agree that there are several health benefits to have sex. So obviously, emotional well-being is definitely a big part of that. So is physicality. However, I'm sure everybody here is familiar with the concept of a quickie. If you are in a committed relationship with somebody, it's very easy to just be like, would y'all want to have sex? Okay. Instead of having to wait until Friday or Saturday night and actually text that person if they would like to come over and Netflix and chill. So being in a relationship actually increases the ease of sex rather than just waiting to text that person. To move on to oxytocin, making it a cuddling drug is also blatantly false. According to Men's Health Sleep Advisor William Christopher Winter, a doctor of medicine, he says that as well as the hormone prolactin, which increases sleepiness, drowsiness, and overall exhaustion in men and women, oxytocin also has a similar effect. However, ladies of the audience, how many times has your man fallen asleep after sex? Where you just go to talk and all of a sudden there's just snoring. That's because of oxytocin and prolactin. So the idea that after sex you can create an emotional bond because of cuddle talk is just not true. Also, I would like to point out that we live in 2017 where everybody has their hands on a cell phone. And if you've come over to watch Netflix, then the likelihood of you having Netflix on that phone is also pretty high. So it's more likely that instead of trying to talk to some stranger that you may not even know very well, you're gonna just go back to watching Netflix on the movie, or on your phone rather, and fall asleep that way. So the need for cuddle talk, or the existence of cuddle talk, is pretty slim. To move on to the second argument, the patriarchal bias. Negative claims that there is inherent bias in normal dating culture. And this is true, that right now there is a lot of pressure that exists on women to actually give out sex, as it were. But saying that there are clear lines because of Netflix and chill is also blatantly false. The reason for Netflix and chill's existence is because people were trying to be sneaky and clever when they were inviting somebody over to have sex. So saying that this makes things clear and defines boundaries is just not true. It also doesn't actually get rid of the gender biases, the stigma, or the pressure that exists. Sure, that you may have less confrontation with people, or they may not be face-to-face when you're asking them if they would like to come up and have sex, or anything like that. But because it can be done so easily of just, hey, you want to come over and Netflix and chill, then the amount of times that this can happen to somebody is also drastically increased. So it's more like the death by 1,000 cuts style of putting pressure on somebody. It's like if there are any parents out here, if you have a child that asks, can I have a cookie 1,000,000 times, then eventually you're going to give in, even though the pressure isn't really that great because it happens so much, you get killed by 1,000 cuts. All this does with Netflix and chill is puts a fresh coat of paint on an old problem. Netflix and chill, the opponents say, are actually solving for several gender biases and stigmas that exist in today's problem, but rather it's just trying to claim that they fixed it, but allowing them to fester at the same time. So it goes deeper than just saying that Netflix and chill solves all these problems. Really, we should be looking more into why we're hiding our intentions for wanting sex. But all that Netflix and chill does is exactly that, of saying, so I don't know what sex you're talking about. I just want to watch Netflix. Thank you.
Wow, you're tall. Hold on a second. Okay. So I'd like to start by saying, just as Andrew was refuting our side, I will simply be refuting the affirmative side. I do this a lot, I change sides. So let's begin. Starting with the argument of emotional detachment. Our opponents here talked about how, deep breath, okay. Our opponents here talked about how, ghosting in the environment of Netflix and chill. However, ghosting is something which is a stylistic choice of dating. It's never going to be something which is the cultural norm, because it's something that people do as a choice of this is how they're going to pursue relationships. It's just like the way that previously some guys would hit on a lot of girls and would just not call them afterwards. It's the same exact thing, and not everyone is going to adopt it. They talk about about how Netflix and chill leads to emotional detachment. However, in a culture where ghosting is a possibility, emotional detachment can actually be a very good thing at the beginning, because it allows you to protect yourself from these kinds of people. So how do relationships start under this culture? Here's the thing. The way Netflix and chill works, it allows you to avoid those really awkward dates that you go on where you're just kind of sitting across from someone and trying to make small talk when you don't know anything about them. Instead, you draw these clear lines. It's like, hey, I like you, we should have sex. And you're able to do this with however many people you choose. Some people choose a lot, some people choose a few. And it allows you to see if you have any sort of chemistry with that person. Now, the people that you have chemistry with, you'll find that right away. And it's those people that you're going to pursue a relationship. It doesn't have to be all of them. It doesn't have to be any of them. People are free to make this choice. And the more people that you're able, and try that again. So some people might be able to find it on the first go, but for those of us that can't, it allows you to try different people, which means you're more likely to find your match. So going on to the second argument of casual sexpectations. Oop, gotta look at my notes here. Okay. So they talk about how there's this greater pressure because of how many people are asking. Because of how many people are asking someone. However, just as our opponents stated, it's easier to ask because it's over the phone. Well, here's the thing. It's also easier to say no over the phone because you don't have to look someone in the eye when you basically reject them. It's a lot harder to do that when you're standing in front of someone and you know their feelings might be hurt. It's a lot easier to be able to say no, thank you when you don't have to look them in the eye, which can honestly be a better thing. Furthermore, they talk about how casual situations are suddenly sexually charged. You suddenly start wondering about every little situation if it means that someone wants to have sex with you. But here's the thing. In all romantic relationships, that's already a thing. You don't ask someone out to dinner if you don't want to have sex with them. Just saying. So it's actually a good thing that people start questioning this sooner. It means, nervous giggling, ignore me. Okay. It's actually a good thing that people start questioning this sooner. That means they're thinking about this early on. It means no one is going to get blindsided because they came over to hang out and suddenly someone wants sex. You're already thinking about that. And that means you're already able to start formulating your responses and already wondering if you're ready for this in the relationship or not. It's a good thing to start questioning this. It's a good thing to start questioning this early. So yeah, Netflix and chill may not be the be all end all that solves every situation. It still has its problems, but it has made things better for some people. It's made it easier for people to say no, for women specifically to say no when they face this patriarchal bias, or for them to explore their sexuality. The point is, it's a step in the direction that we need to go. It's going to take us to where it's going to take us to the ultimate solutions. Thank you.
Test. Okay. So we're getting into the final stretch of the debate here. The last two speeches are going to be rebuttal speeches where Kevin and myself will wrap up what's happened in this debate from the perspective of our side. So, thank you everyone for being here. We're always desperate for money here at the speech and debate team, and we're always looking for new members to join our cult. So, with that out of the way, the first argument that we've got here is the issue of emotional detachment in our society. The fact of the matter is, has been laid out by our side, people are not emotionally investing in each other anymore, and this is reducing their ability to communicate with each other and even to connect with each other on some level. This really turns their entire case against them because it leads to a society of people who never learn how to emotionally connect with each other and therefore never do it. Because when it comes to the issue of this cuddle drug, oxytocin, everyone wants the next hit. It's true. But if you can get that next hit of that love drug by just texting someone, hey, want to Netflix and chill after the speech night tonight, then why would you invest in a relationship if that's all it takes to get the next fix of that drug? And honestly, when it comes down to it, you'll actually get more oxytocin from a committed relationship because it's not just something that's released during sex, it's actually a neurochemical that's linked to bonding between people. And so if you're getting involved with someone who you're already emotionally attached to, there's going to be a lot more oxytocin as a result of sex than there would be if you just hook up with a random stranger. So either way, you're going to be having better sex if you're doing it more consistently with someone who knows you. I mean, that makes sense, right? So then we move on to the issue of let's look at this. Let's take a step back and look at this through the perspective of How I Met Your Mother. For those of you who are fans, this is really the difference between Ted's dating life, where he dates like 9 or 10 women over the course of the series, and he emotionally invests in each one of them along the way, and they have plenty of sex, but he emotionally invests first. Versus Barney, who doesn't. He just hooks up with women every night of the week, and he probably has more sex because of it, but as a result of doing this, he actually manages to damage himself. He becomes so hurt on the inside that when he finally does meet that special someone who he really does want to connect with, he doesn't know how to do that, and it destroys their relationship. Spoiler alert, it was Robin. Sorry, that show went off like 10 years, the air like 10 years ago. Y'all should have Okay, now let's move on to the issue of ghosting. Now, this has been characterized as a style that not everyone engages in, and while that is the case, even if only a small part of the population is doing this, it's enough to affect all of us. Every one of us has been on a date and wondered in the back of our mind if it's worth emotionally investing in this person because, hey, they might just disappear next week, because that's what the world is like in 2017. We've all had that thought. We've all had that worry. And that is what leads to us not being willing to emotionally invest up front. We're scared that we're going to get hurt, that we're going to get ghosted by this other person, even if they aren't necessarily going to ghost us, right? So we all take up this defensive posture, which makes us less likely to reach out and actually connect with someone when that opportunity comes along. It means that even this subset of the population can be ruining the dating scene for everyone, basically. So, oh, and also, this is, when you take this a step further, this is encouraging the logic of objectification of other people and disposability. Why would I care about what happens to you when I can find someone newer and hotter on Tinder or whatever, right? People become disposable at that point, and this ties back in with the inability or unwillingness to emotionally invest in each other. So now we move on to the issue of sex expectations, and this has been a consistent problem in our culture for as long as anyone can remember, and coded language seems to be right at the center of this. While it may be obvious what I want if I ask someone to Netflix and chill with me after this debate, it would not be so obvious if I just asked you if you want to hang out with me or just come chill, right? So the point is that this language isn't just simple and clear and easy to understand. It's metastasized into these different forms where everybody's double checking themselves all the time. Does this person actually want to hang out, or are they trying to bone me? It's a real issue, and right? And it makes us doubt ourselves, it makes us question each other, and it feeds right back into the inability for people to emotionally invest. Because the fact is that this Netflix and chill culture does not solve for slut shaming. Women can still be shamed for having sex too soon or having sex too late or not having sex the right amount or whatever. All of this stuff still happens under Netflix and chill. It's just in a different setting. And so when it comes down to it, this doesn't really solve the patriarchal bias. It just masks it with a new coat of paint, as Andrew was talking about. And the last thing on here is actually the issue of exchange of resources. Of course, it's probably better that we eliminate the exchange of resources from our dating scene, since it it's based on outdated stereotypes and it's not really functional in today's world, yada yada. But the fact of the matter is, Netflix and chill is not the only way to do this. There are other ways to solve for this problem. And when it comes to asking that question of yourself, do I want to have sex with this person? Am I going to have sex with this person? Isn't it easier to find that answer? Isn't it easy to make sure you've made the right answer if you already know that person, if you've already invested in that person, if you're already sure that because you've known them a long time that they're not going to ghost you? That's what this debate is all about. Thank you.
Guys ready? Audience ready? All right. I'm going to close this debate off tonight by telling you guys why I think Netflix and chill has done more good than harm. And that's really what I want to focus on today. I want to focus on that actual question. This debate is not about whether or not our dating culture is awful, because it is. It has been for hundreds of years. It's about whether or not Netflix and chill has made it a better place, or has made it a worse place. And the only arguments that we have in this round are about how terrible it is and about how Netflix and chill doesn't perfectly solve for these issues. Does Netflix and chill make it so that patriarchal bias doesn't exist in dating culture? God, no. It's still way easier for men to ask out women than it is for women to ask out men, but it helps. It makes it easier for women to say no, because they don't feel the pressure of being face-to-face, because the question comes at the other end of a text message. Is ghosting a problem in our dating culture? Absolutely. But as was said, like, ghosting happens because of text messages, instant messages, caller IDs on all of your smartphones. That's what lets you ghost people. It lets you know who's trying to communicate with you and completely cut them off. And it's ghosting that causes this fear of emotional attachment and causes this emotional detachment. It has nothing to do with Netflix and chill. Netflix and chill doesn't make it easier to ghost people. It doesn't make you more likely to ghost people. It just makes it hurt less when somebody ghosts you. Ghosting's gonna happen. It sucks. There are garbage humans in the world. They do garbage things. One of them runs our country. Like, Netflix and chill is fundamentally about asking the question first. And it might have been invented as a way of being coded and subversive, but it's so well known now that we know to be on the lookout for other phrases. We know that phrases like, do you want to hang out, might be coded language for some jerk trying to get into your pants. And you look at them as and you go, is that what this guy wants from me? And you maybe say no. And maybe once in a while you say no to a great guy who really just wanted to be your friend. And I'm sorry, great guy, but protecting a woman's right to choose is probably more important than your feelings. And it probably always will be. So does Netflix and chill fix everything that's wrong with our dating culture? No. But it's a necessary step away from a culture where only men can ask out women. And only men being able to ask out women was a necessary step away from a culture in which women who were dating couldn't have sex, which was a necessary step away from you get married for life and that's the only person you're ever with, which was a necessary step away from paying people to take women off your hands. Like, our culture is getting better. It's not good yet. I'm not going to try and pretend like it is, but it's getting better. And that's really what this debate is about. Now, I do want to address the Barney-Ted issue because there are some problems with it. For starters, if I looked like Neil Patrick Harris, I would probably be able to have sex every night if I chose to. I don't. I'm not ever going to look like Neil Patrick Harris. I'm not going to be able to make that choice. So that's kind of a problem with it. But the other real problem with it is that Barney wasn't the only one in that relationship that was super damaged, nor was he the only one in that comparison who destroyed his relationships due to being emotionally damaged. That show is fundamentally about people. Ted destroys his relationships by being just as emotionally damaged as Barney, and Robin is just as participant in the emotional detachment that leads to the destruction of her and Barney's relationship. And ultimately, Ted and Robin end up together, maybe? Nobody's sure. Yeah. So, like, it's a good analogy, but it's a little flawed because what it's talking about is it's not talking about Netflix and chill versus traditional dating culture. It's talking about casual sex leading to relationships versus relationships leading to casual sex. Both of those are valid. And Netflix and chill is the thing that has made casual sex leading to relationships valid. And that's why it's done good. It's opened a door without shutting any. Thank you.
Now, I don't know about you, assembled audience, but I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, do you want to come over and Netflix and chill in a serious context?
Hey, Jimmy, you want to Netflix and chill after this?
Oh, dear God, Fletcher, I'm now scarred and have to leave. But seriously, isn't this worth the $5? The debate team has just educated you about your sex life.
And before we move on to the next event, we are going to have you, the audience, determine who you think won. So stop. If you believe the negative one, which was the team advocating that Netflix has done more good, yeah, clap. The negative.
Now, if you think the team led by a cult leader named Fletcher, and who talked about How I Met Your Mother first, won, please clap louder. And they have it.
No, that was literally the same.
Easy.
Literally the same.
All right, Hal, decide.
It's a bow tie for you,
It's a
Amber.
bow tie.
Anyways,
All right.
moving on.
Moving on. Next up, we have Henry Tolchard giving you an extemporaneous speech.
So yeah, what we explained to you earlier about the speech that involves subjects of international and national issues, and he had 30 minutes to prepare, and we're gonna find out what he decided to do.
This is like the speech that one kid who actually did his homework gave
30
when he
minutes.
got called last in high school to give his high school presentation.
Yeah.
Henry is the kid who does his homework every night before he goes out to play ball with his friends. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Henry Tolchard.
On a more serious note, I would like to begin tonight with a moment of silence for Colonel Conan Antonio Motti. He tried to exert some sense of balance within his leadership. They were going insane. They were trying to make all their military decisions based on an old religion. And he said we should base it on military strategy and the actual political ramifications of their day and age. For this, he was choked to death from afar by Darth Vader, like in a force choke. Which is the first thing I thought of on this May the 4th be with you day when I read the question, can Ivanka Trump successfully serve a moderating influence over her father? My answer to this is going to be, like Colonel Antonio Motti, no. For 3 reasons. First, Trump himself is a maniac who no one will really ever be able to moderate. Second, Trump himself refuses to listen to expert opinions, meaning that no matter whose advice he listens to, he probably won't listen to it anyways. And third, Trump has no respect for policy decisions made by women, including his daughter. For the first point of analysis, we're going to be looking at how Trump is an irrational maniac and how that might affect his political decisions. So, according to the Christian Science Monitor, reporting this year, Trump favors speed and flash over precision when it comes to his policies. And this is most adequately examined through his executive orders. When you look at how he decided an immigration ban would be the best bet, he thought, let's just do it. Let's pass an executive order. Done. There. Gone. And then it gets overturned by the courts. And then he tries again. And then it gets overturned by the courts. And then he tries to pass a healthcare bill, and then it fails. And then he passes another one, and maybe it'll get through the Senate, and maybe it won't. The point is, he does things without thinking them through. Meaning that even if he had a moderating influence, even if Ivanka was telling him, no, Dad, don't do this crazy thing, he would probably still do whatever he wanted anyways so quickly that she wouldn't actually be able to have a moderating influence. Moderating influences only work when the person you're moderating listens and makes rational decisions and thinks them out critically, which is not the case we have here. The next example comes from the CNN, which yesterday reported that all of the remarks Donald Trump made in regards to Andrew Jackson and the Civil War were grossly, factually incorrect. Like, none of it was right. What he said was that Jackson would have been a much better president, and that Jackson was, end quote, Jackson was really angry that he saw what was happening with regard to the Civil War. He said, there's no reason for this. So the CNN gathered some historians, and with all the power of their academic institutions, they pored over documents. And what they found was that Jackson had been dead for 15 years when the Civil War started. So we're dealing with a president who doesn't really acknowledge the reality and physical world that exists around us, or at least doesn't know about it. Either way, it's probably going to be a big issue. And his daughter telling him, no, please don't push the button to nuke China or North Korea, probably isn't going to make much of a difference if he doesn't know the difference between China and North Korea, or something else. I don't know what he knows. I thought everyone knew that about like the Civil War, or at least you were required to know that to be president, but apparently not. So we've pretty much got no chance in terms of Trump. So, we've already talked about how Donald Trump is a maniac, but now we have to also look at what he thinks other people know. So we're going to look at what he thinks of the expert opinions. According to the Washington Post in 2016, Donald Trump has stated that he, himself, on his own, alone, knows more than anyone else in the world does about renewable energy, debt, taxes, banking, money, the US system of government, trade, the military, and ISIS. I ran out of fingers while counting those because he's such an expert on everything. Someone that believes that they just know more than anyone about everything probably isn't going to listen much when their daughter gives them some advice about which countries to invade, what healthcare policy to pass, or some other such thing. After all, the biggest expert in the world is already in his head, so why does he have to listen to anyone else? So, the second example is going to be from the Washington Post reporting May 2nd, which said that Ivanka Trump's women who work campaign and idea isn't really a political campaign. It's just a marketing scheme. because she's a businesswoman who tries to sell things. So Women Who Work isn't really a political campaign designed to empower women in the workplace so much as a catchy slogan to sell clothes and make money for herself. So she's not actually, in her own expert opinion, going to be able to exert a level of influence on Trump that actually matters. So we've talked about what Trump views in terms of other expert opinions and how Ivanka herself isn't really a qualified expert opinion. But what we also need to look at is how he views women overall. So Trump does not respect women, like, at all, simply put. And I've had two warrants for this. The first is going to be from the Washington Post, May 2nd. Trump just recently picked an anti-birth control, not just pro-life, just anti-birth control, activist Teresa Manning for the Secretary of Family Planning, who said, of course contraceptives doesn't work. That's preposterous. So you can see that he is selecting in his political cabinet positions that are specifically anti-choice and anti-women and anti-family planning while his daughter is openly saying that that's a bad idea, meaning that he isn't listening to his own daughter. Additionally, according to NBC on April 3rd, Trump revoked the 2014 Fair Pay and Safe Workplaces Act, which essentially tried to increase civil rights for women that work within companies that have federal contracts with the United States federal government. I don't really see any point in revoking this, but it definitely demonstrates that he doesn't really have any respect for the dignity of women when it comes to politics, especially when it comes to the policies that his daughter is trying to implement. So, in conclusion, we've looked at how Donald Trump himself doesn't know much about the material reality we exist in, nor is he capable of rational decisions. We've also looked at how he thinks experts know nothing compared to himself, and we also know that he just straight up doesn't respect the policies that would benefit women the most. So, no, I don't think Donald Trump will literally force choke Ivanka Trump in the Oval Office, but I definitely don't think she's going to be a moderating influence on her father.
All right, thank you, Henry. We're halfway there. We only got a few more events to go. Next up is our second debate for you tonight.
All right, it's going to be persuasive.
Just kidding.
Oh, okay. It's going to be a persuasive speech, and this persuasive speaking involves analysis of a problem, as well as potential solutions and corrective actions. These topics are drawn from today's headlines and deal with significant issues relating to health, freedom, or other core concerns. Want to sum it up?
She'll be telling you there's a problem. She'll be telling you about the problem. Then she'll be telling you how to solve the problem.
Yeah. And once again, we'll have Jewel Jackson come up, and she's also a debater, and we've also won a tournament together.
Well, aren't you special?
We've also won a tournament together. Are you sad I didn't mention us? Yeah. Anyways, Jewel Jackson.
Welcome, Jewel Jackson.
Woo!
All right, guys, if you thought my first speech was funny, woo-wee! I'm sorry. Okay. I did not do anything I wasn't supposed to, but it exploded in my face. Andrew Hall, according to The Sun, a news source from the United Kingdom, was getting ready for work in his bathroom, vaping, when his pen exploded in his mouth. He lost 7 teeth and received second-degree burns to his face. Doctors in intensive care had to remove chunks of plastic, teeth, and other objects from his mouth, throat, and lips. The explosion also broke his sink and left scorch marks on his wall and ceiling. Andrew Hall did nothing out of the ordinary, yet he still suffered the consequences of vaping ends. ENDS, or electronic nicotine delivery systems, include both e-cigarettes and personal vaporizers. I personally used to vape, and I have a lot of friends who still do. According to the Centers of Disease Control in 2016, 1 in every 4 teenagers vape, and unfortunately, it's not just flavored water. Today, we will discuss the grim, injurious effects of ENDS, the causes for the alarming increase in young consumers of ENDS, and what should be done on multiple levels to stop this disturbing and detrimental trend. So, what exactly are ENDS? E-cigarettes and personal vaporizers are electronic devices that simulate smoking by vaporizing a liquid solution, hence vaping, which doesn't need tobacco to hurt you. There are two major health problems associated with ENDS: the consumption of potentially deadly ingredients and explosions. The first way that ENDS damage our well-being is that the liquid solution ingested is both harmful and addictive. One of the main components is nicotine, which WebMD says is addictive, can be dangerous for people with heart problems, and can harm arteries over time. As reported by the New England Journal of Medicine in 2016, another key component is propylene glycol, which, when heated, turns into formaldehyde, which is not only used to preserve dead bodies, it's also a known human carcinogen. Also, according to the Washington Post, e-cig vapor can contain lead, cadmium, nickel, tin, and other metals which can cause nervous system or respiratory problems. Stanton Glantz, professor of medicine and director of the Center for Tobacco Control Research and Education, says that in the process of heating up e-cigarette liquid, you get a lot of aldehydes, and the ultrafine particles are themselves dangerous. The effects can include lung inflammation, which can lead to lung disease, as well as making your blood sticky, leading to clogged arteries as well as heart disease. According to a 2017 February CNN article, the detrimental effects of aldehydes have been made even worse by the latest trend in vaping called dripping, wherein users apply a few drops of the liquid directly to the heating coil. And if this preponderance of lethal chemicals isn't enough to convince someone to at least think twice about picking up an e-cig, well, perhaps severe burns and disfigurement will. The second problem with ENDS is that they can explode. The FDA identified 134 incidents of e-cigarette batteries overheating, catching fire, or exploding in the United States over a 7-year period ending in January 2016. Victims of the most serious vape pen explosions have required skin grafts and intensive surgery. Diane, a consultant plastic surgeon at the Swansea-based unit, said that there have been multiple reports of e-cigarette pen explosions that have resulted in catastrophic injuries similar to those you would experience if shot in the face by a gun. So, if e-cigarettes have so many obvious drawbacks, then why do so many people, particularly young teenagers, use them? There are three major reasons for their increased use. The first reason their rising use seems to fly in the face of danger is the misconception that ENDS can help people quit smoking tobacco. While most e-cigarette companies promote their products as helpful tools, the FDA Center for Drug Evaluation and Research has not approved any ENDS as a safe or effective method to help people quit. In fact, a STAT article even says that many public health advocates actually consider ENDS a gateway to smoking tobacco. Adam Leventhal, an addiction scientist at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, surveyed 2,530 non-smoking ninth graders from 10 LA public schools. 222 had vaped. 6 months later, and then a year later, he interviewed the same students, and he found that the teenagers who had used ENDS in the beginning of 9th grade were 3 times more likely to start smoking tobacco products during the year than the teenagers who didn't. So, why did they start vaping? The second major cause for the surging practice of vaping is marketing. ENDS are advertised not only to appeal to adults and young adults, but also to teenagers and those younger. For instance, there are a variety of vape flavors to appeal to younger folks. Don't like the tang of traditional tobacco? Guess what? Vaporfy offers strawberry shortcake ice cream, peanut butter and jelly Sammy, mountain mint chocolate, and other delectable vape juices to choose from. Furthermore, a 2014 BBC News online report titled Gateway to Addiction, 7 e-cigarette companies surveyed admitted to using marketing techniques that targeted young people, such as free samples and sponsorship of rock concerts and other events. So, according to the FDA, more than 3 million high school and middle school students were current users of ENDS in 2015, and 81% said that the availability of appealing flavors was their primary reason for use. The third reason for their increased use is lack of regulation. The FDA only just gained the ability to oversee and regulate e-cigarettes in August of last year. Before, according to the Public Health Law Center in California, ENDS were manufactured without regulatory oversight or quality controls, and were advertised broadly without appropriate health warnings or legal age restrictions. Now, while legal age restrictions have been put in place, nothing else has changed. And e-cigarette companies still have 2 years to submit an application to the FDA in order to remain in the marketplace. Until then, the American Lung Association says that nearly 500 brands and 7,700 flavors of e-cigarettes will remain on the market until the FDA is able to fully evaluate them. So while we wait for the FDA's evaluations, what do we need to do? We need to start treating ends as they are, dangerous. We can attack this on both a legislative and a personal level. On a legislative level, we need to push for proper marketing and labeling. Tobacco cigarettes are allowed only menthol as a flavoring. So should e-cigarettes. Tobacco cigarettes are restricted from billboard advertising. So should e-cigarettes. Tobacco cigarettes require graphic labels with health warnings. So should e-cigarettes. And on a personal level, we need to advise other people to stop vaping. Let's tell our coworkers, our friends, our family. It's dangerous. More and more people are taking it up, either for fun or an attempt to stop smoking. These are real, dangerous, and can serve as a gateway to tobacco cigarettes or become an addiction of their own. We need to stop vaping, regardless of how much fun it is to post Snapchat stories of ourselves blowing Cheerios or rings. And we need to spread the word and be a positive influence for those younger than us. Do we want to endanger the health of our fellow peers, high schoolers, and middle schoolers? Do we want to tell them it's safe, even cool, to smoke e-cigarettes? Do we want to let what happened to Andrew Hall happen to them? Don't let the ends justify the means. Vaping is a wolf in sheep's clothing, and it is time we start seeing it for what it is.
Hear that, kids? Your vapes are a time bomb.
What are we, halfway done? What's next?
I thought I'd do a tap dance.
Oh, go for it. Let's see it.
No, you made it. Congratulations. Give yourselves a round of applause, please. Hal, can I get you up here, please, front and center?
Yes.
So, for those of you who don't know, this is Hal Sanford. Hal is probably the best guy I know. Please give him a round of applause. Hal, the highest compliment I can pay you is that you are one of 2 people on the earth I would let drive my car.
Nobody understands it.
I think they understood that.
Okay.
I'd let him
go
get
ahead.
behind the wheel and turn on the car and drive it down the road.
They have a driving thing, but not like
so
that.
on and so on.
Nobody understands how much.
I mean, I wouldn't even let my dad drive my car, and he's up there.
Oh my gosh.
But seriously, ladies and gentlemen, you've been a great audience. I hope you've learned something, and I'm going to turn the mic over here to Hal Sanford for closing remarks.
Thank you. Really appreciate you coming out tonight and supporting the team. They work incredibly hard, and it's very gratifying to be able to share their efforts with you. And so you should be incredibly proud of your speech and debate team. Let's give them one more round of applause. Okay, it's late. You've had fun. I urge any of you that have got questions in connection with joining the speech and debate team to contact Mark, Susan, or I. We'd be glad to talk to you about it. We have this class as Speech 52. That is how they compete. They represent the college well. Your instructors' sign-up sheets are out on the glass. Look for the name and section. Sign your name. We will get that information to them. Thank you so much. Have a safe trip home.